Hey, good evening. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. I wanted to talk about possibly some of the reasons why expats come over here to be with Filipinas, with a Filipino wife. And I don't think it's always the fact that many of the men who come over here, foreigners who come over here, like myself, are advancing in years. Actually, it's become like a gallop for me, but not everybody's in that situation, and they come over here, and because of the prevailing conditions of having enough money to most come over and they have a pension which will allow them to live comfortably, if modestly. That's my own situation. I have a small pension from two countries, the US and the UK, and put them together, and whatever happened, Beth and I would be able to live comfortably, and certainly we would be able, if we wished, to travel to somewhere else. At one time we thought of going to Panama, and then we came over here, and our mission kind of grabbed us by the scruff of the neck and said, no, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So here we are. But I am always struck by the huge difference in a Filipino woman compared to those of foreign races, it seems to me. And I have been to many countries in the world. I've been all over Europe. I've been all over the UK, of course, England, Ireland, not so much Ireland, but England, Scotland, Wales, and they are different. They're different nationalities, believe me, quite different in their ways. And I've travelled quite a bit in the US and in Australia as well. So I have some experience upon which to judge for me. That's not everybody. So this is not a proclamation of an absolute fact. It's just my opinion, and this is how I find Filipino women, is that they are able to deal with adversity in so much with a smile. You can find a woman here who is living close to the edge on actual survival, not living on the edge of not really being in such a comfortable lifestyle. They can be on the edge of survival. They can be going hungry. It sometimes interests me to know, to wonder at how a man might go onto one of the dating sites and look at a Filipino woman who looks like she might possibly be a contestant for a beauty contest, and yet there they are, seeking their forever after, happy forever after, that is. And so it's only natural that the foreigner thinks, well, how can this be? Because we have been travelling around, this has been, my feelings on this, my opinions on this are reinforced. Just recently, in the last weeks, we've been travelling up and down the mountains in our area, and we have been, it seems, far and wide. It's actually not. It's down to just miles, but the way in which you have to travel, as you may have seen, some of you may have had a good laugh at the fact that we risked life and limb to go and see the lady that had had the baby, the one that we had rushed to hospital, and we went to see her, and Beth assured me, well, it's only in Rizal, it's quite near, you've already been there. she didn't tell me that I'd have to risk life and limb on the back of a motorcycle with her as well as the driver, getting up and down a narrow path with little room for error, like a steep drop-off on the left and somewhere to bang your knees on the right. So it wasn't it was pretty exciting, an adrenaline rush, and something that I vowed in the name of sanity that I would not do again. Well, Beth did all of this in just as a matter of course. And if I started to say, aren't we getting close to it being dark? She would say, it's all part of the adventure. So women are able to face adversity, what everybody else would find, I don't know, on insurmountable odds. And they're able to do it happily. In fact, if I am to think of the emotion that if it is an emotion, that I've heard since I've been here, what I've heard the most of, which I can't explain why because I can't speak the language, but it's laughter. I hear people laughing more than anywhere else that I've been. The UK, America, years in the UK obviously, and years in the US, and some time spent in Australia as well. They laugh a lot. Nanai clearly has a great sense of humour, and she can be heard cracking funnies which make everybody laugh. You don't have to speak the language to be able to know that this is what's happening. And it reminds me that when we first came out here, pursuing what I'd been doing, let's face it, once we get into an unusual situation, we go back to what worked for us in the past. And what worked for me in the past was, with fairly simple tools, I was able to design and make furniture that I could sell. Now, it was it was a bitter blow to me to realize that what I had been able to charge thousands of dollars for in California, I would have to be satisfied with thousands of pesos here in the Philippines. But during the little journey which carried me through the realization that that's how it would be, I went and I met a lady that who lives just on the edge of Atafi, and she has a furniture factory and store. And I took along my portfolio after the first meeting of saying, would you like to have a look at some of the work that I've done, which she said that she would. I took along my portfolio, which consisted of some furniture and a lot of the sculpting and artwork that I'd done, which she expressed a great interest in. And so I invited her up to see what I was working on at that time, which was a desk, which was a corner desk, a triangular going across the corner. And I invited her up to our house, such as it was then, and we arranged to meet at the bottom of our road. But I went along and I went to her factory first in Atafi, and I came back with her, and I watched the lady that was riding the bike and my newfound friend who owned the furniture store and her friend, or was it her daughter, but three of them on a bike, and I watched them weaving and wobbling a bit. And when we got to the base of the then 2 mile walk, a heavy ride, I said, don't be offended, but I don't think you're going to be able to make this ride. That's okay, she said. We'll walk. And they did no more than leave the bike, park it, and we walked the 2 miles to the house. And I showed her what I'd been doing, showed her some more pictures, and we made a loose agreement that I would make something for her in return for something that she would give me that I needed for the house. So that was how we left it. And then I walked back with them down to the road. And they did this without thinking. So just think about what happened. I went seeking some kind of work to the owner of a factory. I'm not talking about a 50,000 square foot factory now. I'm talking about a small workshop, studio, and a showroom showing some beautiful furniture. And she got off the bike and walked, and did it quite happily. So the women here are different in many ways. Now, is it all good? Well, some of it is challenging, and that's what you have to come out here to find out. You really must meet and go through everyday life with the person. Now, a lot of people come out, a lot of foreigners come out, and they go on a whirlwind tour because they've got money. Let's face it, $1 is worth 51 pesos. You've got money. So they go to places, beautiful places like Boracay, and they'll go there and they'll walk the beaches, and they'll do the different tours and rides and boat excursions and all of these great fun things which have little to do with ordinary life. It's not like going shopping with the woman when she chooses the groceries. It's not like sitting in the car waiting when you were told to hurry up, and you go down and get in the car and you're ready to go, and they then start changing what they're dressed in, and so you go through 4 changes of clothes while you are sitting there waiting. And this may not be something that you're able to do, because most foreigners that and the foreigners that I speak to have agreed on this, that foreigners, compared to how laid back Filipinos are here, foreigners are quite irritable. They very quickly lose their rag with people. They very quickly lose their temper. They very quickly become annoyed. They very quickly start to complain, and this is something that Filipinos don't understand, and that's something that a foreigner has to change, not the Filipina. That's not going to happen. You as the visitor are going to have to change. Now, what's the logic in that? Well, you are living in a foreign country, and you are not going to change the country. Yes, this may come as a bitter blow to us foreigners to find out that even though we think that we know so many better ways to do everything, the Philippines does not rush out to say, yes, help us to change. We want to change to be just like you. No, that's not going to happen. The other thing is, use your worldly logic on this one. It took me a while. The place that you ran away from to come here to have a better life, don't bring that with you. So many foreigners that I know that come here and settle, but not quite settle, try to make this country the way that they left. They want all the conveniences, and with all the conveniences come all of the regulations. You can't have people riding around perfectly on perfectly concreted roads. You can't have everybody with perfectly regulated vehicles which are insured, tested, in good condition, with all the lights working and all of that, without having cops waiting by the side of the road to give you a ticket if you've got a tail light out. You can't have that. You know, just today I realized my town of contact is Taliban. It's a small town struggling to be a medium-sized town, and it's getting there. So that small town aspect which I love is going to disappear. I never see a cop. Every so often, if there's something that's going on political, that there are elections or voting or something like that, you'll see some little road stops where you're supposed to stop, and a cop will ask you where you're going and what you're doing. They never do. Usually if they see a foreigner, they don't usually stop foreigners. I don't know why. Maybe they expect them to be fairly legal and to have a vehicle that's well serviced or well, at least well going, and so they don't tend to stop them. Maybe it's that they're typical Filipino, that they are shy of their English, and they'll know that you don't speak the language, so therefore that's how that goes. But other than that, I rarely see a policeman. Unlike how it was in LA, where you literally couldn't put a foot wrong or put a wheel wrong and you would get a ticket. I had a ticket. The last ticket I had there was because I was parked on a slope and I didn't have the wheels, my front wheels turned into the pavement, the curb. You can't have small town freedom and comfort like I enjoy and have everything perfect. It just ain't possible. But I've already gone over my time that Beth asked me, can you please make them shorter because it's easier to upload. But she's a Filipino woman. Thanks for looking in. This is a foreigner in the Philippines.